Okay, so number one, how do I plan and organize performance task for my class? So, um, as an educator, I always make sure that my performance tasks are aligned with my objectives, which is the things that you taught to the students. Because the main goal of performance task is to check the understanding and the way how the students apply the said learnings or objectives to an actual situation and stuff. So as an educator, as what I've said, one should again craft or align your performance tasks to the objectives being set. Okay, for number two, how do I align performance tasks with the learning objectives and curriculum standards? So, as an educator here in the Philippines, I uh, we are quite familiar with the curriculum guide, which is quite considered as our holy grail, as what they've said. So you can really check the what you call this one, objectives or various yes objectives, which is as an educator you should again align them to your performance task because it will be difficult if your learning objectives are not aligned to your performance task. It is just like uh, you're going to let the students do do a what do you call this one, a cooking class, and then what you taught to them is how to speak in public or public speaking. So it's not really aligned, right? So one or as an educator, you should or we should really make sure that our learning objectives and curriculum standards are aligned with um, our performance task. So three, what considerations I have to performance task for my students? Okay, so this is quite a good question. Since we're talking about performance task, as an educator, as what I've said, that one should align, right? So it is really connected to number two, question number two. So since we're talking about uh, our students, considerations to the students, so as a teacher or as an educator, one should really consider the your students' cultural background, also social background, your the society or the community where you lived in, because again, since our education is focused on student centered, I an educator should also consider the needs, no, the needs as well as the the strengths and weaknesses of the students, which is again connected or related to your your learning objectives. So yeah. So we will have a formula. So we have the learning objectives plus the needs, the needs, the considerations, or the needs, the strengths, and the weaknesses of the students equals performance task. We will not give the students a performance task which is beyond their grasp. Okay, for number four, how do I communicate instructions effectively for completing performance tasks? So if I we have here, there is what we called a what we call this one in there is a what they call a design wherein you're going to elaborate the elaborate the, let me check first. Okay, yes, okay. So again, we have this so-called grasp. So this is an acronym, which is you're going to, effectively or elaborately tell the students about what what the performance task is. So we have here the GRASPS, which stands for the goal. We have also the role. We have the audience, the situation, the product, performance, and purpose. We have also the standards and criteria for again, standards and criteria on how you're going to grade or give grades to the students. So we have here the goal. So what is the main goal of your performance task to be followed by the role? What is the role that that student or that learner to that said performance task? We have also the audience. So who are the target audience of your performance task? We have also the product or the product performance and purpose. So we have in this part, since performance tasks are output based or commonly output based, so we oftenly need to have a or product or performance that the students that will be doing. And lastly is the standards or criteria. So since we're talking about standards and criteria, so you're going to have a set of grading mechanics such as criteria as well as rubrics, so that you will be guided on how to grade your students. So in since we're talking about standards and criteria, since performance task is mostly objective based, so I highly suggest that a teacher or an educator should use a rubric, because as as what I experienced, using rubrics are really um, objectively good, since you will really get the things that where the students do really good at doing in regards to the performance task. And lastly, for number 5, how do I monitor and evaluate students' progress during performance tasks? Of course, so as what I said, since we have the grasp, so at the last part we have the S, which is the standards. So we have, yes, we're going to use uh, grading methods, which is as I've said, we oftenly use I highly suggest to use criteria as well as um, rubrics, but I highly suggest rubrics. You can just search some rubrics in the internet if you want to. But if you really want to create your own rubrics for your performance task, that's a much better way of checking your students, because again, you are crafting your own rubrics, which is really aligned to the performance task that the students are doing.